second stage of drawing up a room or a building is to, once you've got your walls and your space for where your windows and doors go, is to put in some windows and doors so it doesn't just look like a hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the two parts. Let's just get back to our select tool. We're going to take some parts of our window and our door just to the side. We're going to copy it. We're going to press the move and then the option key. I'm going to choose now this is really, this has a bit of a glitch to it, so I'm just going to try again. Now if I've selected too many edges, I can delete them once I have copied this over. So press the M tool for move. Down the bottom it shows me that I can press option to copy or clone the selection. So I'm going to choose a corner and then I'm just going to drag it down an axis so that it's away from the object, but I'm in control of where it moves. If I don't have my dotted line matching a color of the green, the red or the blue axes, it's going somewhere where I don't actually know, okay? I might be able to see it, but it might be miles and miles away within this environment. So here we go, we've moved that object. I can delete the random edges that I selected while I copied it. Now there are a couple of random edges in mine, that this little cross here or blot that you can see was actually a guide, so I just wanted to delete that. So this is the starting point to our windows and our doors. If you look in the room that you're sitting in at the windows or doors, there is a frame, and then within the frame there are some other elements. So there's going to be an actual door, and to a window there's a window frame, and then there is all like the casing that the window frame sits in. So that's one kind of border, and then the window has a frame in itself. And in this window there are actually two windows. So I'm going to start with the door. It's a lot more straightforward. And another step I'd like you to do, now that you've copied the two parts that you want to be working with, I also need to copy this window cavity for its proportions. So let's do that now. And then I'm going to make my walls, my entire walls, a group, so that when I am now going to put my created windows back in here, if I select anything of the walls, I can't accidentally edit it. I have to actually go intentionally into the group and do something there. So in order to do that, make sure your window, you've navigated to a point that there's nothing behind it like these copies, and then you're going to choose your space bar, your select tool, draw a window all the way across, select all the edges and the surfaces. You're going to right click or click, if you're just using your laptop control pad, then you can just click with two fingers, and then you're going to make a group. Okay, so when I select this, it selects everything. It means I can't accidentally click an edge or a surface and delete it. Okay, so going back to our door here. The first thing that's going to help is having a rectangle actually over this front surface for now. And then what I can do is I can give that a frame. So I'm going to make it a little bit thicker first. So I'm going to pull it out just by about 10, let's go 20 millimeters. So it's sticking out 10 millimeters from each side of the wall. So it's going to be visible from the outside and it's going to be visible from the inside. So 20 millimeters each side. And then I am going to, under that push-pull tool, there's an offset tool. The short key is F, okay, and then I'm going to click that surface, or if you haven't already, you need to select that surface. And then I click a point along one of the edges, and then I'm going to, rather than going outside of it, I'm going to go inside. And I'm going to make that 15 millimeters thick. Okay, so now we've got the start of the window frame, and now I'm going to push it through. So I'm going to push that through, and I am going to go, of course, 150 plus 20 is 170. There we go. And I'm going to orbit around, because remember that this is a hollow object at the moment. You'll see that when I go into this part here. So I'm going to put a rectangle back over so that that frame has a surface. Whoops. Let's get back in here a little bit closer. That outer corner, and then I can select this surface and delete it. Voila, I've got the frame for my door. Now, let's move this panel. Cool. The next step is to get my door within that. I could be adding in a few more details, like one side of the frame usually is thicker so that the door actually pushes into that frame, and you can most definitely model it in that level of detail if you like. For the making this a little bit shorter, hopefully, I'm not going to do that within this video, but the next step, if I want to keep this as its own component or group, I can group this so that I don't edit it while I'm making the door, because I can draw on the door, but I don't want to necessarily change this itself. So with my tape measure, or actually I can just still find the middle of this with my line tool. Just going to try and get away from that corner. Here we go. Kind of want to see this top surface a bit clearer. L, that's the midpoint to the midpoint, and then I'm going to make my door 25 millimeters thick. Oh, 25, enter, and then from that point I'm going to go back here, and then I'm going to close up the rectangle. So now I've got a rectangle that I've drawn with 4 edges, and I can pull that up 2,000 millimeters, because that was the internal kind of edge. Hopefully. I could have done that wrong. Let's see. Oh, I did. Whoops, because I had forgotten. Let's do this another way. That I had made my door frame. So I just want to get to a point that I can see my surface. I'm going to push pull, and then on the edge of the group it's giving me feedback that I have reached the inner top edge of my frame. So I'm going to press enter. It's 1970 millimeters. Voila, enter. Oh, there we go. And now I have my door. Of course, you can add a few more features to your door if you like, i.e. a handle, a window. The classroom that we have has a window. So a couple of things a tool you can easily use for this is your offset tool. So you could give it a frame like that. You could find the middle point. You could do a another frame from there. Oops. I am kind of judging this a little bit. I'm going to push pull this through. To make the window. And what you could do, instead of pushing it all the way through, is Control Z, push it just back about 5mm, enter, so it's slightly pushed back. And then if you want to repeat that on the other side, which you will, is we can take most of these edges, let's duplicate it. We're going to go move, we're going to plus, and we want to shift it back that 25mm, the thickness of the shape. However, we have one problem, is that the window frame itself, let's go up, has been pushed forward rather than back. So we can select that surface and we can shift that back, move, and we're going to move it back that way 10mm. And later on, don't do this now, because then you're going to get carried away with colors and materials and all that. You can go into your materials tool here, you can search, and under here there is glass, and you can choose one of these, and we can orbit around, press the paint bucket, choose the surface here, change that to glass. If we go back to our styles, then we will be able to see the texture that's kind of representing that that is a window within the door. Now to make this like a little bit more realistic of like it being a frame and then a panel in here, again you would push that back maybe 5-10mm itself, and then the same on the surface here, back 10mm. Then we're starting to get some depth to and detail to this. Whoopsie, wanting to orbit. And then all those internal edges you can group again. Potentially you group this entire object into a component. Let's see if we can do that. Right click, make a component, door number 1, because potentially in future models you might have different types of doors, they might have different styles, and then if you want to move that to your space, I'd encourage you to go option when you do use your move tool, and then you can pan, and then you can go back to your move tool, and then you can place that within that hole in the wall. So that's how I would be making a door. It's a lot more detailed than just a hole in the wall or just one rectangular prism sitting in there, but it's got a frame, it has got then the door itself that has a bit more detail. Of course it needs a lot more work than what I've shown you within this short video, but it shows you the starting elements to creating a piece within a model that has some realism to it. In the next video I'll show you me making a window.